Gojo Satoru has once again emerged back into the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Today, my brothers and sisters, we will be discussing Gojo's epiphany and what Gojo might do now that he has established a time frame for his fight against Kenjaku and Sukuna, because there is a lot to consider with the massive bomb that is Gojo Satoru. In chapter 221, Gojo has set a date for his epic battle against the main antagonist of the story. He picked December 24th, Christmas Eve, as a memorial to his best friend Geto Suguru, who he killed with his own hands the previous year. This says a lot about how Gojo felt about Suguru, as he would not necessarily admit it, but Gojo has a certain soft side for Geto, and Kenjaku even calls it romantic, like a date. But this is all the more reason to kill him, as he has tarnished the legacy of his friend Suguru. I know it's a little strange, but this romance theme is really double-edged. This fight will be a testament to their truths as Jujutsu sorcerers. Gojo has to kill his best friend, and he has to fight Megumi, which he has looked after since he was young. But none of those feelings or resentment is evident in Gojo because he is different. He is the honored one. There will be a time to mourn, but when push comes to shove, Gojo will do what he must. The Gojo we saw unsealed felt like the same Gojo that we all know. He's still arrogant, still immature as hell, but more or less he feels the same. And he's still the proclaimed strongest. And now Gojo has to handle all this chaos by his own means, as Gojo literally is the pillar of the Jujutsu world. When you consider Sukuna's callback to Yorozu's quote, that absolute strength and the solitude that comes along with it, the one who will teach you about love is... Sukuna references her quote to this fight with Gojo. This is more than just about the battle. A transcendent demon god who knows no equal versus a modern day Buddha who believes himself as the honored one. This quote-unquote love is their opportunity to thrive in battle and just to know that there is someone else out there who is among the strong. So Gojo could be the one to satisfy Sukuna's loneliness and show him the unyielding strength that disregards all else. And certainly that battle will be one of the peaks of Jujutsu Kaisen and a huge turning point in the story. But before this climactic battle, what could Gojo possibly be doing or have to do for an entire month before then? Well, there are some things within the Jujutsu society that need to be sorted out. Obviously, Gojo will go back and meet with his students and his peers. Unlike Sukuna, Gojo uses his power and authority to create a better future for others and raise strong and intelligent allies. There is a subtle line when it comes to this selfishness. Having people and allies seems like a sort of weakness, but Gojo's enlightenment is different than that of Sukuna's. Gojo is no less weaker or stronger because of his allies, but Gojo doesn't want anyone to be left alone ever again. Maybe this is to a fault. Maybe this is how Gojo's character itself is strong, but Gojo is not a bad person. But like we saw from the hidden inventory arc, there is a certain omnipotence that Gojo carries that no one else can burden. Right or wrong, this is the truth that Gojo chose to walk. And when you are the strongest, there really isn't people who can walk with you. Nonetheless, Gojo walks in the light, you could say. So Gojo will probably meet with his students, and he would notice how much they have changed just within these 19 days. It's going to be really cool seeing his reaction to all of these new faces and all of his stronger students. Equally, it will be just as sad seeing how many that he has lost along the way. Nanami is dead. Yaga is dead. Nobara is unknown, presumed dead. It should go without saying Gojo should be feeling quite a bit more motivated after learning about these things. And he has to address it, he has to. He will probably bring up Nobara, and we might get a real confirmation on her death and her state as soon as next chapter even. He might talk about Yaga, and they were extremely close to each other, and even the fanbook mentions that Yaga was one of the few people who really understood Gojo. So RIP Yaga, But Gakuganji and the other higher-ups who planned their deaths and ran this organization to the ground, they're done. Gojo will probably kill them for running this mess of an organization. And you know what else? Technically, everyone aiding Gojo is now a criminal to the Jujutsu world. I don't know how much actual authority the conservative faction holds. I'm very suspicious of why Gojo was labeled as a criminal and exiled, and why did Yaga get executed for inciting the Shibuya incident and withholding his curse technique information. But now the pieces are starting to move again on the board, because we understand Kenjaku is head of the conservatives faction and head of the Kamo clan seat, and he killed any other higher up who proposed the Yuji execution as well as the Gero Suguru execution. So everyone left in the higher ups are those who are against Gojo and his students. They are all now corrupt as far as we can tell. But being realistic, come on now. Gojo freaking Satoru, what are they going to do about him? They should know if they oppose Gojo in any way, they will die. They're probably going to die anyway. But I haven't the faintest clue of what the society is cooking when they can't even handle their own problems. But I think the notice from Jujutsu headquarters may get brought up again, and what we will probably see is Gojo killing the higher ups and making plans to change the society, which would segue nicely into getting history and lore and information on the society, because now the sorcery world is known to the general public. Foreign intervention has already happened with the US invading and possibly other countries coming to Japan now. Normal people are seeing Jujutsu, it's on the news, Jujutsu cannot be hidden anymore, and as a result, some Jujutsu parties are getting involved, namely the Gojo clan. Somehow the Gojo clan is operated without its core member, Satoru Gojo. It's been stated on a few occasions that Gojo is a one-man team. He is the Gojo clan, and all responsibility falls on him. This is why Gojo has so much influence within the society. Not only is he the strongest sorcerer, but he, as the Gojo clan head, uses his political power to save people like Yuji or Yuta from official execution, and he uses his influence within the society itself as a whole. But in Gojo's absence, the three big clans were thrown into turmoil. The Zenin family is now dead. The preceding clan head, Megumi Fushiguro, has now been taken over. The Kamo clan has been usurped by Noritoshi Kamo, aka Kenjaku, and they control the society over the higher ups. Even Master Tengen has been captured. The Jujutsu Society is in a very bad state right now, but the only clan that we have no real information on is the Gojo clan. Gege has mentioned the Gojo family and his clanmates are maybe alive and well, and to our understanding, the Gojo clan was actually functioning without Gojo, as we saw from chapter 152. We also saw from the volume 22 extra that there was a meeting to be held regarding the abolishment of Jujutsu Article 8 with the Gojo clan. A mysterious letter was issued to or from headquarters. I think Gojo could at least address it or check in with his clan, especially now that Jujutsu is now known to the public. There will probably have to be some executive action taken, and Gojo could settle it as the Gojo clan head and the last of the noble families, at least the last of the more sensible families at least. The higher ups have just left too much of a mess just to ignore. It's time to reshape the Jujutsu Society now that Gojo is back in action. With Kenjaku puppeteering the organization, I don't think it's so cut and dry as to just kill the higher ups and be done with it, but I hardly imagine Gojo just sitting by when he has both the Jujutsu and political power to take control. For real though, what are they going to do about it? The society will basically be at Gojo's mercy whether it continues how it is or it changes. I don't think any sensible sorcerer would oppose Gojo outright. Throughout the next stage of the story, I imagine the main Jujutsu cast will likely find ways to get much stronger and manage the coin game better. Remember, the coin games is still in effect. They have to keep exchanging points and deal with the game system rules moving forward. And just a little over a month is a lot of time to just let Sukuna and Kenjaku roam free and plan whatever they're going to plan. A ton of fans believe a sort of training arc is in order. For me personally, Gege hasn't seemed like the type of author to really invest in that or go out for a type of route like that, like just focusing on training. It could be a more gradual thing, like as different plot points are revealed or unveiled, or fights unfold, they'd get stronger from that. But now that Gojo is free, the students have checked off one of their goals, and now they have to find a way to defeat Kenjaku and Sukuna and end the Koen games. Gojo has already set the date for his fight with them, so it would kind of overshadow what anyone else could do. There has to be some kind of specified goal either Gojo will assign or the rest of the group will have to figure out. There is a ton of characters to work with, including other incarnates like Kashimo, and Kashimo in particular might be very impatient or not like that Gojo is the one to set the terms, but I don't know, he's free to try whatever he wants. I'm sure Kashimo's fight would come before the concluding battle with Sukuna, or maybe the Sukuna fight would have certain stages to it. There is a lot of eager sorcerers ready to take down the antagonists, but for the most part, there are only like 2 to 3 enemies, including Sukuna, Kenjaku, and Uruume, and for the most part, Sukuna and Kenjaku have much greater importance and are far too much of a higher standard for most of the students to face. Of course, Yuji has to have his moments against Sukuna, and Yuta has to have his spotlight against Kenjaku, and Maki, Hakari, Kashimo, and the others, they need to fight too. They need to have their big moments, and I'm 100% certain Kashimo wants Sukuna all to himself, 1v1 full power, no strings attached. So I don't see him as a particular team player if he learns about Sukuna. He might even try to stray from the plan or try and fight the cast over it. It's very up in the air what Gojo and our cast of sorcerers will do during this month, but Gojo specifically could plan on helping to suppress Sukuna and free Megumi like Yuji plans to do. The alternative is just that they have to stop Sukuna, even if it means they kill Megumi, and that's not the particular outcome that we really want to see. I'm sure we got fans who want Megumi to bounce back from the abyss and reclaim and master the 10 shadows and fight back against Sukuna, but I don't know if he can come back like that with the story how it is. Sukuna wants to make Megumi his body. Getting him back is probably even harder than just killing Sukuna, because now we're considering beating Sukuna to a point where he can't even fight anymore, and that's insane considering, well, it's Sukuna. This must be where Yuji's new powers and buffs come in the story. If he learned about the intricacy of the soul from Yuki's research and understood his own body in a way like harnessing the power of cursed objects, he could be the one to save Megumi. But I don't think he can achieve this goal without Gojo's help or instruction. I find it interesting that Gojo proclaims that he will win, and Sukuna proclaims that he will kill him, and Yuji says he will kill Sukuna. Now, it does make sense for Gojo to win, but we understand the story might not pan out as smoothly. Gojo even taught Megumi winning by dying and winning even if you die are two completely different things. Now, that could just mean nothing. It could just be in context with Megumi's trump card, or it could be a nice foreshadow to his face-off against him in the future. Gojo winning does not necessarily mean that he would survive, but he could present an opportunity for the sorcerers to win over Sukuna in the end. If they want to end this cycle and rid the world of both Kenjaku and the curse of Ryoma and Sukuna, then narratively, it would require some sort of loss of life, and the main cast should probably experience some major deaths considering the weight of the situation. And Gojo himself is perhaps the strongest character in the manga, but he is not going to solve all the problems the sorcerers are faced with just by himself. So be prepared for the peak of Jujutsu Kaisen, because I'm sure Gege will break the mold and he will create a conclusion fitting the strongest, fitting the honored one in whatever way that Gojo is going to win. But that's it for this one, brothers. I find the situation with Gojo and the time that we have left in the series to be very exciting. This month during the story, it could pan out all the way toward the end of the series, or it could just go by in a flash, whatever Gege wants to do it by. There's opportunity for big reveals, power-ups, a Heian era past arc, lore info, Jujutsu politics. Gege could go a lot of different directions, but I trust he will give a very satisfying battle in the end when it comes to Gojo versus Sukuna. But comment below what you guys think and what you guys want to see covered. But this has been Enemy Stand User, and I'll see you awesome guys in the next one. Bye bye.